Our co-hosts include the Admiral Bill Stubblefield. Good morning, sir.
Hi.
Yeah, I'm not going to be teased by that one. Also, Maria Lawrence. And Maria, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Yeah, well, it's nice to have you both here.
Thank you.
We're ready to get into the anchor leg of this four-legged race. And for the final segment, we welcome in Susan Caperton from the Eastern West Virginia Community Foundation. Susan, I'm sorry I didn't bring your microphone close enough to you. Can you drag that across the table?
Of course.
To the
How's
end?
that?
There you go, so we can hear your lovely voice. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. Thank you so much for having us.
Wonderful to have you here.
Glad to be back. I'm joined by Rebecca Knight, who is our Office and Grants Manager today, and we're really excited to be here. Thanks for having us.
Rebecca, welcome. Is this your first appearance here?
It is, yeah. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, we like to have new guests. We've never lost a guest on this show before, but if we do, I recently, as a coach, had to recertify in CPR for both adults, children, and infants. So
Good to know.
you're in good hands.
Yeah, thank you.
Just in case.
Yes.
Everybody stay safe, though. Let's not make me try it out.
Yeah,
Because then, when you do that training, it's on a dummy.
it is.
And I don't mean a non-intelligent person. I mean it's actually on a dummy.
Now, you do not, the procedure does not include mouth-to-mouth anymore, does it?
It does, but you now get a little plastic thing with a valve on it that you use.
But what if you don't have that little plastic thing with a valve on it?
Then it can include the 2 safety breaths. So that is still part of it, but it's just
Okay.
been de-emphasized over the years. There was a lot more emphasis on the
interesting. I didn't
breaths
know that. Yeah.
years ago.
Definitely.
I think the first time I took a CPR course, I was in high school. I think they gave you like a grade or something extra. You got a bump on your grade if you got CPR certified in health class or something. And the breathing was a lot more a part of it. Now chest compressions are really where the focus is. Yeah. So anyway, I'm not sure how we ended up there. But,
I asked the question.
but if anything happens, we're
We're
all
in good
here.
hands. Thank you.
You're welcome. The 30th anniversary of the foundation,
It
right?
is. This month we are celebrating our 30th anniversary of the Eastern West Virginia Community Foundation. We were started by a group of forward-thinking community members back in 1995 who saw the value of working together to bring the community together to start and grow an endowment that will benefit the community not just now but forever. And over 30 years, it's hard to believe it's gone really quickly, but it's amazing what the organization has done.
And they were who? The 4 were who? Scott Roach? I mean, Doug
Roach.
Doug Roach.
Tia McMillan, you're putting me on the spot,
Yeah,
and I'm drawing a
okay.
blank. I
Yeah.
apologize. There was a
Okay.
group of people across the community who formed our.
Hammond?
Was Connie Hammond part of it, and Diane Daly maybe?
Possibly.
that's-
Sounds
My
right.
apologies to anyone on the original group that I probably missed. So apologies for that. But it was a great group that came together and started with their board, and then eventually hired Amy Owen as the first executive director. Amy served, I think, for about 12 years, and then, or maybe a little bit longer. And then Michael Walton served for 12 years, and then he retired a little over a year ago. We had his celebration at the Roundhouse, where we all were just talking with Matt Umstead. Beautiful facility, just a great place. And then I stepped into Michael's role about a little over a year ago.
And how much are you managing in funds now at this time?
Just over $60 million right now in funds. We're managing about 400 different funds. Each one's created by a community member for a specific charitable purpose. And it can be, we manage a number of different types of funds, everything from donor advised funds, agency or designated funds, which are set up to benefit a specific nonprofit or charitable organization, field of interest funds, which fund our competitive grants program, which Rebecca's going to be talking about here in a little bit. All different types of funds, which is really fun because we really have, we don't do traditional fundraising. For us, fundraising is meeting with a donor who wants to make a difference in the community, not just now, but forever, and trying to see how we can help them fulfill their charitable goals by setting up an endowed fund with us that we then manage for them and grow. And a portion of the proceeds, I always get tongue-tied on that, a portion of the proceeds go back out into the community every year in grants and scholarships. And over the past 30 years, we've calculated we've given out over $16 million across the counties of Berkeley, Hampshire, Hardy, Morgan, and Jefferson.
Bill, you and Bonnie had a litter fund there.
We
you
did
not?
have, yes.
Right, if I
and it
recall.
worked quite well. Burke Community Pride was dissolved, and so the money's been rediverted into other areas. Yes, but yes, we did. So.
Oh, very nice. So the grants that you're going to be giving out, when do those applications begin for those grants, or have they already, Rebecca?
They've already begun, actually. We just opened the mini grants on Monday, and last I checked last night, we already had about 25 applications, which is very exciting. But these are available for public school teachers in Berkeley, Jefferson, and Morgan County. They go up to $500, which you would be surprised at what a teacher can do with $500. Yeah, we've been doing this. Michael started this program, I don't know how many years ago, before I started at the foundation. But it's always so exciting just seeing the ideas that teachers have, and seeing we get grant reports, and we love seeing pictures from the teachers, especially of all the kids enjoying everything they've been able to get.
And how many will you award?
Oh, a number is hard to tell, honestly. We'll award about it's usually between $35,000 and $50,000 in grants, but in terms of numbers, I mean, usually we get upwards of 150 applications. We can't fund them all, unfortunately, but it's hard to say the number of grants.
And is that open to all counties that are part of the Community Foundation then?
It is. This opportunity is open to Berkeley, Jefferson, and Morgan.
Okay.
We do have many grants in Hampshire County open yet. That would be more our affiliate, Amy Pancake's area to talk about.
And then right after the mini grants for teachers, Rebecca will be opening the Youth and Education grant cycle, which is a really big one for us. I'll let you tell a little bit more about that.
Yeah, those are for more, the mini grants are just for public school teachers, whereas these can go to nonprofits with programs that care for kids, and they can also go for like school-wide projects with multiple teachers. These go up to $5,000. They're always so exciting. They're are kind of our last big one of the year, and. Yeah.
And we have a wonderful grants committee made up of board members and community members from all across the region. We really try to engage people from as many different areas as we can. They review all of the applications.
And there's another grant we've not mentioned. That's a workforce development.
Oh, yes, that's right. Yeah, that one is, we completed the applications for that. They are not open anymore, but we're in the process of reviewing them and deciding on who will get those.
And the purpose is to develop our workforce through whatever mechanism possible is available.
Right, that came out of the Berkeley County Industrial Park,
It
I believe.
did, exactly.
And that was
yes.
a great way to keep the vision of that group going in a way that really impacts the education and job training programs across the Berkeley County.
And that can get up to, I think, $12,000
Yes.
is one that was.
That's a generous one.
Yeah.
We also have coming up we also have Two Rivers Giving Circle. So Two Rivers Giving Circle is a giving circle that focuses on historic preservation and conservation projects. And I'll let you tell more about those.
Sure.
as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, that's a fun group. That's a really interesting grant that we do. It's our only one that's dedicated towards historic preservation.
Yeah, so that's a fun group because that one, the Giving Circle, is the grants committee.
Yeah.
So by donating in, I think it's $500 to participate in that. By donating into that, the committee members get to, Rebecca still coordinates all the logistics for them, but they get to pick the recipients for that and coordinate the awards. In fact, the Roundhouse, again, Matt, who was just in here, is one of their prior recipients, and I believe received their award for last year. So that's a fun one. And then we also, to complete our fall, our grants go rather quarterly right now and are pretty much going year round. We have our veterans program. This was a newer one for us. That started a few years ago thanks to the generosity of Mr. Frank C. Fisher. After he passed, as part of his estate planning, he set up a fund with the Community Foundation to benefit veterans programs. And that was a new grant category for us, which is really exciting. So those will be running. They should be opening up, I believe, in mid-October.
Yes. No, they will open at the beginning of October.
Excuse me, they'll open the beginning of October. The goal is that we can get the money out in the community by Veterans Day.
Yes.
So watch for that.
Yes.
You've been very successful. One of the unique things about the foundation is the way that you manage your money. and manage your investment. Would you speak to that for a couple minutes?
I would be happy to. Thanks for asking about that. So we work with 7 different investment advisors across the region. All of our investment advisors are locally based, and that's very important to us. Since we are a community-based organization serving 5 counties, we really try to keep everything local as much as possible. So we have a really strong relationship with the 7 different advisors. We work with BCT, City National Bank, CNB, First United Bank, the former Summit, now Burke and Herbert, Truist, and United. So across all 5 counties.
Well done.
Thank you. And we honestly, knock on wood, so far so good this year. We've had strong performance the past 2 years, averaging around 13 to 15%, I think, returns. This year we're watching closely. It started off a little rough, but things have connected better. And so last we saw, things were looking better. So, but we take a long-term view on all of our investing. All of our funds are distributed based on a 20-quarter average. So it takes about 5 years for a fund to get really fully endowed and fully vested. And by doing that, we're in a position to really weather the ups and downs in the market. And taking that long-term perspective helps us grow for the long term.
But every few months, you have all 7 of your advisors to different times, where they're all in the same room at different times,
Correct.
And you do a critical review of their performance, correct?
Correct. Very good point. So we have our investment and finance committee is made up of board and committee members who have experience in this area. We get monthly reports from our investment advisors, just updating us on the progress, and then quarterly we do a deep dive. We have a form that they fill out that not only tracks their quantitative, their numbers and the results, but also gives us more of a view on the more substantive side of things, like reflect back on the past quarter, looking ahead, what do you see, what do you need to share with our group and with our board. And that's really enabled us to have a conversation. We usually have the committee meets quarterly, and we usually have a couple of different advisors present and join us during the meeting, so that we can get more feedback and really kind of strengthen those relationships.
The $60 million that you have, are they equally divided between the 7 advisors?
Somewhat. We do have, it kind of depends on how the funds come into us with larger funds. If what we've been doing so far is if one of the advisors is in a position where they cultivate the relationship. We had a significant estate gift that came to us last fall that came through BCT, so we kept the funds there and let them manage it. We're actually right now doing a deep dive on all of those policies and procedures on when funds come into us, how do we allocate. If someone comes straight to the community foundation rather than going through one of our advisors, we divide it up among the different advisors. All of our advisors have been performing at pretty similar rates, so it really hasn't, from a performance perspective, we haven't had to really do any corrections in how much they're holding, but we watch that closely. But that's something we're doing a deep dive in right now, actually. Like our committee's doing a retreat this fall to really look at how we allocate funds when they come in, especially larger gifts. Looking at the source of how it comes to us, as well as the performance that the advisors have been doing.
Do you have a preconceived or document that how much in equities, how much in bonds, how much in cash?
We do. As part of our spend and invest policy, we have an allocation formula that they all must follow. We have 6 of our advisors all follow a 60-40 distribution, and then we have one advisor that follows an all equities based distribution.
So one of our listeners, watchers, asks about donor advised funds. I mean, while it seems pretty like you could understand what that's, so if you want to set up a donor advised fund, do people apply, or are those funds specific to what the donor has said, okay, I like these 4 given charities or whatever? How does that work?
So, great question. If anyone is interested in setting up a donor advised fund with us, the best thing to do is call me, reach out to us, and I'd be happy to talk with them from a donor's perspective. The benefit of going with a community foundation in general versus a Fidelity or a commercial based one is everything stays local. All of your fees are staying local. You have the flexibility and the power to say what happens to the fund after you're gone or after you no longer want to be involved with it. Once we have the donor advised funds in place, it's really the donors are in the get to make the recommendations. We do have they'll make a recommendation for a grant to our staff. Mm-hmm. We then the board gets final approval on all grants that we make. That's usually not a problem, but just legally speaking, that is how it plays out. There are situations where there will be an emergency need or a new situation or a special project that comes up, and nonprofits will reach out to us to see if we have any suggestions on where to find funding. And if we have areas that we know our donor advised fund holders are interested in, that's a great opportunity for us to partner a donor with a need. Again, the advisors for the fund have the final say on what they're going to recommend, but it's a chance for us to have that flexibility and help meet needs. One thing that we're working on, we recently hired Elaine Bobo as our Director of Donor Relations and Communications. And one of the things we're working on is a resource for donors and for community members who say, I'm interested in animal welfare, or I'm interested in human welfare and housing, having an online resource where they can go in and find organizations that are doing the work that's important to them and help track it through there.
A couple of points, if I can. Bonnie and I have made some investments in foundation. We found two things. One, you and your staff are exceptionally cooperative in trying to meet our individual wishes and desires. So my hat's off to you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
The second thing is it provides some assurance that in the long term, you as a donor wishes will be honored. There's always a concern that if you gave it directly to an organization, that the leadership of that organization may change their mind in time and they may go in a slightly different direction or go in a radically different direction. Whereas with a foundation, you have that assurance that your original goals will be maintained.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. And, the organization has been growing. We recently hired Elaine as well as Kirsten Avey. Kirsten jumped in as our systems manager, which is a new role for us. We've upgraded our computer software system, upgrading our internal systems to make sure we can grow and better serve not only our donors, but the community as well. You raise a great point, and I really appreciate your feedback. We take that to heart. We do have flexibility to try to meet people where they are. And if we're not the right fit for someone, we will happily refer them on to someone else that we think would be. But if we can make it work, we really like to try to keep it all local. Like by working with the community foundation, everything stays local. And one area that people often don't realize is we also have unrestricted funds, where if somebody just wants to invest in the community but want to maintain that flexibility, so like COVID is a great example. No one saw that coming, and it resulted in so much need across the community. The community foundation also has unrestricted funds where people can donate to those already established funds as a way of providing long-term support for the community in a way that gives the foundation flexibility to meet those needs as they change and as they evolve.
Susan Caperton and Rebecca Knight, our guests from the Eastern West Virginia Community Foundation. Maria Lawrenson.
So talk a little bit about the variety of funds that are available. I mean, we talked a little bit about donor advised, but I know, for example, that hospice set up a nursing scholarship. So entities can identify a need and say, we really want to invest. And so talk a little bit about the variety of those that you have.
Thank you for asking about that. That's one thing I love about this organization is we do have flexibility. We offer a number of different types of funds, and we've even Michael started this where I was calling it a choose your own adventure fund, where someone who wanted to it was starting off as a shell agreement, so that after they passed, they wanted to start this fund. But then there was also provision where, well, if I get interested and I want to go ahead and activate this, I can go ahead and put the money in and turn it into a donor advised fund, and then from that have it go to a field of interest fund to support grant programs like Rebecca was talking about earlier. We also offer the scholarship programs, as you mentioned. They can be started by individuals, groups, organizations. Karen Hammond Dunn manages our scholarships program and does a wonderful job with all of that. I think we had close to 300 applications last year. We gave out about 250,000 in scholarships last year. That program has grown phenomenally, and it's really fun to see what those kids can do. And each of those scholarships that she manages, each was created with specific criteria. So the donor gets to set up what the criteria are and what type, if it's like you mentioned the nursing, if it's they want to honor a family member who is a nurse and they want to do it through a scholarship, we provide the way for them to do that. If they'd like, from another perspective, if they want to benefit, say, a nursing program in general, there are also the education grants or other programs that you can benefit. It just depends what the goal is. If you want to benefit a group of people or an individual student coming through, both are valid and both are important. Another thing that I'd like to mention that we talked about giving money directly to an organization. We also offer agency funds and designated funds that are set up to benefit specific organizations. For example, if a nonprofit wants to establish their own endowed fund with us to provide for long-term support over the years, that would be through an agency fund. Similarly, like Rob, if you wanted to start a fund to benefit a specific organization, you could do that. It would be considered a designated fund. They're really the same thing, just from a different perspective. But the goal of those is to provide long-term support for a specific organization or organizations, not just now but forever. It's a great source of income for organizations to cover like operating costs and things like that can be harder to fill with grant programs. It's something that we really are trying to raise awareness about right now, because so many nonprofits are really struggling and they might not have the liquidity to invest in an endowed fund. And it's a great way for a donor to step up and help them in that way, help them get established, help donate to existing funds. We're working on a document right now that we'll be sharing in our newsletter this weekend, talking about qualified charitable distributions and how the community foundation can be a clearinghouse in a way for people who want to make their qualified charitable distributions to an organization. We manage a number of different agency and designated funds, and we can receive like stock transfers or straight donations and really help people fulfill the qualified charitable distribution in a pretty clear, straightforward way, while still benefiting the organizations that they want to benefit, with taking more of a long-term perspective on that.
We have 1 minute left. I have to stop Bill Stubblefield's questions at this point and
That's
ask.
a good question, too.
I'm sure it's the best one ever. Rebecca, what is the next time, and for what can people apply at the foundation grant-wise?
Currently, they can apply for mini grants for public teachers or Two Rivers grants for historic preservation or natural conservation. And then beginning September 26th, that's when we will open our youth and education grants. And then the veteran grants are opening the September 29th. Yes.
And where can you go to find out more about the foundation?
You can go to ewvcf.org.
Well, it was great to have you both on the program. Good to see you again, Susan.
Thank you so much. Great to see you again, Rob. Maureen
Thank
and
you.
Bill, nice to see you both.
Great
Nice
to
to
have you,
meet you.
Rebecca. Hang
Thank
out a
you so
second. We've got a
much.
final minute coming up after the break here as we get ready to close down the program here on this Wednesday. Thanks to our producer, the sports doctor, Colin McLaughlin. You can catch the Sports Mix later today between noon and 1 with Colin, Nick, possibly Dylan as well if he's not substitute teaching. Thanks to our guests as well in this segment from the Eastern West Virginia Community Foundation, or as Bill calls it, the East West Foundation, Susan Caperton and Rebecca Knight. Good to see you both. Thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you for having
Thank you for having us.
Have you thought about changing it to the East West Foundation for Bill's East?
There is an East West Foundation in
But this
Honolulu.
ain't it!
Honolulu, maybe we should go out there and visit them.
Yeah, I'm not sure I ever said that. But
Oh, you
probably I
did.
But probably I did.
The Dave Ramsey program is coming up next. This is Talk Radio, WRR Martinsburg and TV10. We'll talk again at 22 short hours.